there are some specialties that I have, like I specialize on data science, and some of the other things, other areas that I specialize upon is operation management, project management, product development, and client relationship development. So these are other trainings that I do provide. And I have a high interest on machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, and advanced statistical analysis. Despite of it, I have a you can say expertise on tools like Tableau, which is used for the data visualization, and statistical you can say tools like R and Python. I also specialize on cloud platforms like IBM Watson and Google Cloud Platform. So this is a brief introduction of for me. So this is my work experience, guys. I'm a data science trainer with Simplilearn, Edureka, and Analytics Lab. So I'm just doing the consultancy as a freelancer for these organizations. And I'm a professor at Graphigera Hill University, where I'm just taking courses on the statistics, data science, and business analytics. I also have an experience of working with data science trainer with the Princeton Review, where my students are from USA. So majorly the crowd, you can say the students were majorly from the US, and I also helped them in creating the capstone project. I also have a work experience of working with Byju's learning app. So I was one of the core member in developing the mathematic content using the machine learning algorithm for Byju's learning app. And these will be the courses that you will be getting across. So in my training, you will be specialized. You will be having a specialization on these subjects: data science with R, data science with Python, data visualization with Tableau. So completely like how to like sort the data and publish the data on the you can say open platform. And I also carry some courses on Excel from basics to advanced. There is a lot of work which is going on deep learning, especially on TensorFlow. So based on the Google Collaboratory, which is the one of the integrated development environment possessed by Google. So I also specialize on this course, deep learning with TensorFlow. This is huge demand in today's time. And those who come from the finance background, since I'm an MBA, I also have a great experience of working with finance domain. So there is one more specialization that I offer, which is machine learning with finance specialization. And there is one more thing, like data science is an amalgamation of various fields. So I help people to have a briefing knowledge on data science and business analytics specialization, which is a blend of using the business tool as well as the data science. And the last part which I offer is the customized courses. So customized courses is totally based on upon the student requirement. So let's say if a student wanted to have a knowledge on any library, any particular courses, or if he wanted to learn some techniques like principal component analysis or a priori algorithm or XGBoost, along with some usage in some platforms. So as per the customization of the student or the need of the student, I offer this courses as well. So guys, this is another important thing. So since everything is being backed by some capstone projects, so these are some of the industry specific capstone project that I specialize upon. So analysis of the sales report of a cloth manufacturing outlet, so totally based on the sales. And telecom customer complaints, so those who come from the telecom industry, so this is one of the capstone project that will help them in getting the job through in the telecom sector. Web data analysis, so it's totally based on the traffic, website traffic. Insurance factors identification, those who come from the finance sector and those who come from the insurance sector. So this is one of the capstone project that they should focus on. And there is another project which is based on college admission prediction based on the GRE and the GMAT score, and like high value customer identification of an e-commerce company. So over here I'll be using the e-commerce company Amazon, and there is some customers we have to identify. There is another capstone project which is based on the healthcare cost analytics. And another project which is based on the recommendation engine, just like Netflix original. So it is one of the famous capstone project, uh, from where the Netflix has been converted into from Netflix to Netflix original based on the recommendation engine. And another project which is based on Walmart sales forecasting. So this is one of the comprehensive project that every data scientist or every data science aspiring candidate must have knowledge on. And one other project which is based on the Bitcoin price prediction using the machine learning tools. So like over here, I'll be utilizing the technique called as ARIMA model. So this is these are some of the capstone project that you will be learning across the course. So guys, this is the support. Under the support, you will be getting the throughout project mentorship. Like I'll be giving you the throughout project. You have to complete at least two projects or minimum of two projects in order to get the certification. So like throughout the project, I'll be guiding you like what are the areas to cover on, and I'll be also be sharing the workflow, like how to start a particular project. And there will be a daily coding assignment followed by homework and evaluation. So what do I mean by homework and evaluation? So after every class, I'll give you some assignment. And in the next class, I'll be discussing that particular assignment for each and every candidate. And any two project submission. So like if you want to unlock your certificate, so you have to submit at least two projects. And there is a 24 live chat and support. So if you come across any doubt, so we will be having a chat, and we can rectify your query. And like there is a placement assistantship. So like in the placement assistantship, so based on a specific role which is available on the industry on, so we will be working on building up your profile. So there are some industry connections. So in that, I'll be providing you some some placement assistantship, and also profile customization based on the specific job role. Since you know in the market, so every profile requires a specific skill set. So based on the specific skill set, you have to prepare your profile. Like whether it's a data analyst, it is a data scientist, or it is a data scientist along with some specialization with some tools. So based on that particular requirement, we will be working on building up your profile. And these are the payment options. If you like the demo session, right, and if you wanted to get enrolled, so I'll be sharing you, the AI Secure will be sharing you all the details if you really like the demo part. So let's get started with today's session, guys. So in today's session, what I'm planning to cover, so this is a R Studio version. So R, just like your Python, is one of the famous languages for carrying out like statistical computation. It is a one of the language which was developed by University of Auckland in order to keep in mind that we have to perform some statistical computation and model evaluation out of a particular data set which is present in the format of the table. So in today's class, we will be starting with the topic which is called as data pre-processing. So this is a R Studio integrated development environment. This is highly used IDE, which is generally used for doing the machine learning projects. So what do we exactly mean by data pre-processing, guys? So data pre-processing is like whenever you take up any raw data. So what do I mean by raw data? Like if you do some research, if you collect the data, so you generally collect the data in some specific format, like Excel file or the .csv file or the text file. So sometimes, so while collecting the data, there are some missing values in the data, right? So in order to do the model evaluation or the machine learning, if you want to apply the machine learning techniques, so you have to pre-process the data. So what do I mean by pre-processing? Like you have to remove the missing values. You have to like clean the data. So in today's part, we will be doing the data pre-processing so that the data is ready in order to perform some machine learning algorithms. So we'll be starting with the data which I have already uploaded in my like R Studio itself. I'll just show you the data part. So guys, this is a particular data that I'm talking about. So it is a data.csv file. So while collecting the data, you can see this is our data comprises of country, age, salary, and purchase. So it got you can say 10 fields over here. If I exclude the country part, and it has age, salary, and purchase. Now guys, if you can see in this particular data, there are some missing fields. So this must be my raw data, because while collecting or while doing the survey or while getting the data, there might be some data loss. So in the data pre-processing, will we try to fill up this particular data loss using the statistical tool, which is from the statistical tool, which is RStudio. So we will be working on this particular data set. So while calling a particular data set, so there is a specific command in like R, like, so let me give the name of the identifier, let's say data set, let's say. So since it's a CSV file, guys, it's a .csv file. So there is a specific commands in order to read the CSV file. So read.csv, and this is data.csv. So this will generally read all the data set, or this will generally store the value which is present in the data.csv in this particular identifier. So this is particularly termed as a variable in R. So whatever the value which is present as a data.csv, it will be stored in this particular data set or an identifier. So right now the data have been stored. So like guys, I'll just show you the data. So guys, this is a like RStudio interface. So this is my like you can say this is my source, this is my console. So whatever the calculation which is happening, so it is happening over here. And this particular tab is my like for the plotting and the visualization part. Let's say if I want to upload any particular data, so I can go to upload, and from it will populate a directory. So from the directory I can upload any of the particular data set. So over here I have already uploaded the data.csv file already. So if I show you the data set, see, if you want to like run this particular data set, or if you want to visualize, so you have to press control plus enter. You have to press the command control plus enter. So you can see the data set. While selecting this particular data set only, this console is populating the data set itself, and it is giving you the data which is present in the CSV format. And you can see there are some missing values as well. So our agenda in the today's session, we will be trying to fill this particular missing values, which is available in the form of NA, which is not available. So this is one of the you can say the preliminary step while going with any of the data importing. So we have to like either read the file from the CSV or from the Excel or from the .txt. So there are specific syntax. Since I am working with the CSV file, so this is one of the basic syntax that we will be working upon. Now after importing the data, now we have to like get rid of with this missing values. So like let us try to like visualize the data, and we can see there are some missing values in two columns. One is the age and another is the salary. So what we are intending to do, so we will be just missing the values from we will be just try to fill this thing from the age and the salary. So I will be just calling the data set from age, and see, there is an if else command. So I'll just parse through from each and every data set for this. So if else is .na data set $age. So guys, this particular command will populate this particular command will populate the data set which will be actually populating that whether it contains any null values or not. So is dot na will generally populate whether my age will have any particular data set which is the null. So it do contain, so we will be try to fill this particular thing. So why I've utilized age after the dollar sign, because from the data set I'm just referring to the column age. So that's why I've written the data set dollar a age. It is the one of the generic syntax. So like so there is another function which is under this command which is called as AVE. So what I'm planning to do, I'm just planning to fill, you can say, the missing value with the average of all the ages which is present in the age format. So let's say there will be an excluding the NA part, there will be an average value. So my intention would be I'll be filling the NA part with the average value of the remaining data in the age column. So AVE, so data set, so this is another generic syntax, data set dot age. So from the data set dot age, I am just calling a function. So what I see, why I'm utilizing this particular function. So like this will give you an idea, like you have to call up the mean. So due to that only, we will be utilizing this particular variable or this particular argument, which is function. So it works on calling out the mean. And guys, we will be working with mean of, you can say it is already populating the argument, guys. So mean of, you can say guys, x, which I have taken the argument over here, and I'll be replacing that with na.rm. So if it has a missing value, so I'll be just calling a logical function which is true. So it will be replacing with it with, you can say guys, uh, with the average of the remaining values, right? So this is one of the like the syntax in order to work. Let me also work with the salary as well. So I'll be utilizing the same command is.na. So since I have to replace the, you can say the average part in like age and salary. So this time I'll be working with the salary. So I'll be following the same block of code. So AVE again for the average, and like data set dollar for the salary. So you can see R is already known since we have called each and every column. So it is automatically predicting the value salary. So while calling out the function. So again, I'll be utilizing the same argument fun, and like fun stand for function. Again, the x. And over here, guys, mean, the same argument which I followed in the previous code. Okay, one more thing which is very important over here, right? after calling out the true part, there is one more argument which was left. So data set $h, and over here this will be replaced by data set $salary. So guys, what this function is doing, it is first of all finding out whether is dot na is actually populating or asking the r, like whether it contains a null value or not. And after this, if it has a null value, so it should be replaced with an average. So average of the salary. So why we are utilizing the function? Because this function will replace the mean, because this function will perform a statistical computation of mean. So if it has a null value, if it is true, so it should be replaced with the average of the remaining data set under the data set of salary, right? So this are some of the changes that we will be doing. So let me call this, and it works well. And let me also call this for the salary. Now guys, let us visualize dataset.age. So as you can see, now it does not contain any missing value. So after 35, so this is a average that it has been replaced with. So you can see over here, the NA part right now, it is being replaced with the average of the remaining data set. And similarly, the NA part over here, let us check for the salary as well. So as you can see, after 61,000, it has been replaced with the average of the remaining data set. So this is how we take care of the missing values which is present inside the data set. So while importing the data in R, so generally the data set is being called in the format of data frames. So data frame, it's one of the data structure which is present inside the R. So like you can see over here, it has been updated with the missing values being updated with you can say the average of all the rest of the values. Now see, this is one thing which is in order to fill the missing value. Now if you guys, if you want to work with the categorical data, since you can see there are some categorical data, this is a continuous data. And if you talk about country and purchase, this is a categorical data, something like yes, no, some name of the country like France, Spain, Germany. So this is a categorical data. So while performing some computation, sometimes it is very important to replace the value of the category with some numbers. So let's say yes can be replaced with a 1, no can be replaced with a 0. Similarly, my France, Spain, and Germany can be replaced with some numbers like 1, 2, 3. So these are some of the things that we can do while working with the or while encoding the data. So encoding means we are generally replacing a category with some numbers. So this is another important step while doing the data pre-processing. So data pre-processing follow these steps only, like importing the data set, missing values, encoding the categorical data, splitting the data into training and the test set, and feature scaling. So let us have a quick walkthrough of the encoding the categorical data. So in the categorical data, we can see over here, we have a categories in two, you can say columns. One is the country, another is the purchased. So I'll be just replacing the country categories which are France, Spain, and Germany with some numbers. So that can be any numbers as per your comfortability or as per the model want. So there is another feature which is called as factor. So factor is used to encode a vector as a factor. So you can see while calling out the data, R is automatically populating you what is a feature of a particular function. So this is another important feature which is present inside the R. So as you can see, it is mentioning that it is a function factor is used to encode a vector as a factor. So like, so if you want to encode something, so you will be utilizing this particular factor function for encoding. So data set, since so I'll be taking the first from country, then from the purchase. So data set from country, so automatically R is predicting the country part. And let us take guys labels. So this is an argument. So C is basically used to concatenate the character vector. So since it's a data frame, so but it is present in the form of character vector. So I'll be taking the France, Spain, and it has another category as Germany. Guys, R is case sensitive, so please be cautious of the spelling, because like it will populate the error if you do not if I have written small Germany, like small GERMANY, so R will throw the error. So labels, let's say, let me label this as like, let's say it will follow the order like 1 comma 2 comma 3. So what labels are doing, labels are actually replacing France with 1, Spain with 2, and Germany with 3. Labels are the, what are the labels which is present inside a particular column. So these are the labels which are present, like France, Spain, and Germany. So this will be replaced with the labels of 1 comma 2 comma 3, and we are calling it, we are encoding the data set from like the factor using the factor command, which is generally used for encoding a categorical data. So like just select this and like let us run this. Okay, it worked fine. Now I'll just show you how does the encoding work. So you can see 1 comma 2 comma 3. So France is being replaced with 1. Germany, Spain is replaced with 2. Germany is being replaced with 3. Similarly, Spain was 2. So that's why it has a 2 over here. So labels are actually indicating you the categories which are present. So this is how it is working. So while importing the data, so the character vector or the category should be replaced with some numbers. So it has a huge application on the logistic regression, where we use sigmoidal function for yes and no data set, where we use yes with a 1, no with a 0. So like now let us see for the purchased as well, guys. So data set dot purchase. So this dollar after purchase will see this particular data frame, which is the purchased. So I'll be utilizing the same block of code, factor and data set dollar purchased. Again the same thing, but only I have to replace the country with purchased and the labels with the yes and no, which are present. So the syntax is really very easy to understand. So labels are nothing but these are the category which is present inside the data. So labels is equal to C, no. So be cautious with the spelling, guys. It is case sensitive. No and yes, and it should be replaced with let's say labels. Labels like let's say 0 comma 1. No for the 0, yes for the 1. So I hope all of you are clear with this. Like what happening, like what exactly it is happening. No is replaced with a 0. Yes is being replaced with a 1. And we are actually working for purchase data set. So this actually works. So like if I take this thing up, so as you can see over here, you got two no. So no is being replaced with 0. So over here, you can also see, guys, it is being replaced with 0, 1 based on the data set which is present, like 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. So this is how we do the encoding, or we replace the categorical data with some numbers in order to perform some computation. So guys, these are the very three important parts. So importing the data, calling out the missing value based on some computation. You can perform any computation like mean, or you can also perform a computation like standard deviation or median or the mod using this function call. And encoding the categorical data is another important feature of like while doing the data pre-processing. Now another feature which is very important for R, which is like, let us install a package. So guys, I'll just show you what we have as a package. So R has so many packages. So every package as a library perform some functions. So like, let's say there are very famous libraries in R such as deployer, ggplot, and caret, CA tools. So all of these library are meant for performing some specific computation in order to save your time. So another important feature, like in order to work with R, and in order to work with any specific data set, it's very important to call out some specific library to perform some specific function as per the requirement of the data. So like over here, I'll be installing a package which is called as CA tools. But while just having a quick walkthrough, I can see that this library already present. So I will not install the library because it's already present inside my console or inside my R. So I will be just calling out the library from CA tools. So it will be used in order to perform some specific function. So right now we are just splitting the data into two parts, which is the training and the test set. So I'll just explain you the significance, why we use the data for the training set and why we utilize the data for the test set. So we generally do the training set in order to do the computation on the data. Let's say if I have 100% of the data, so some part of the data would be used for the computation and another part of the data will be used in order to check the performance of the data. So like we generally take 70% of the entire data set as the training data, or 80% of the entire data set as the training data. So if I'm taking 80% as the training data, so I'll be taking 20% as the test data, which will be used for model performance. So whether how much accurate is my model, like 97%, 98%, or if I'm doing some prediction, so what is the prediction percentage? That will be evaluated using the test set and training set in order to perform all the computations. So that's why we use the splitting the data. So like we can see, this is the entire data set, 100% of the data having 10 columns. So if I do a 80% split, so 8 rows will come in the training data and 2 rows will come in the test data. So let us call the library CA tools in order to perform the function. So like, so pressing the command control plus enter will call out this library CA tools. Now, since R can populate random result, let's say if I'm working on some data and you are working for some data, so there are chances that while splitting the data, you may end up getting the different result, or I may get up getting the different result. There are some chances. So in order to have the same result, we use a function which is called as set.seed. So this is generally used to like you can say getting the same result. Let's say if you can type any number, like any number, but that should match with yours in order to get the same result. So I'll be just keep a small number, let's say 1 comma 123, which is a very simple number. So let's say if I am also setting my seed as 123 and you are also setting your seed as 123. So whatever computation that I am getting in the R, similar computation that you will be getting in your R as well. So it is very important to set the seed if you are working with like two platforms. So like it should be same in order to get the same result. So while splitting the data, this is the most important point. Most of the people do not consider it a lot. So it's very important to set the seed with some number. So you can take any number, but it should match while doing the computation. So we'll take sample dot split. So this sample dot split is generally used to split the data. So let us take some field. So I'm just taking the field as like purchased. So in the purchase field, I'm just splitting the data into the training set and the test set. So if I can split this based on the mapping, let's say first 8 field have been splitted. So remaining 2 will be automatically going to the training testing set. So guys, I'll just show you. Now, since I'm doing the split ratio, so over here, the split ratio is generally called out for the training data set. So if I want to do a 80% split, so I'll be calling out 0.8. So this is automatically representing for the training data. So it's by default is for the training data. So the purchase is being splitted into, you can say 80% training set and 20% test set. Now, if let me show you the split part. You can say all the fields which is giving you the true have gone into the training set and the false part is gone into the testing set. So there are 10 fields. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So 80% true and 20% false. So false are representing the, you can say the testing data, and true are representing the training data. So like, let me call out one identifier. So identifier is nothing but these are the variable which is present. These are the variables which is present in order to split the data into the training set and the test set. So I'm just calling out a random identifier. So data set. So from the data set only, right, which we have worked on, I'm just calling the split in the training set. So double is equal to is mapping the values. So like true. So training set will have all the things which are true, and my test set will have all the things which are false. So I'll just show you. Subset is the argument which is used to split the data out of major split. So false. So like, let me call both the functions. Okay. Now, if I show you the training set, so it has total of 8 fields. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the training set right now comprises of 8 fields. So all of the sorting is being done on the purchased. Since I've used the argument purchase over here, you can call out any of the argument, but I am just utilizing a argument, the categorical argument, or my predictor as like purchase. So like in R, while performing linear regression or logistic regression, you have to like account for the predictor or the target variable or the response variable. So I've just taken purchase. You can take any for this case. You can also take country. and like you can say like the split true part, it is being gone to the training data. So first five, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were true. So that's why it comes in the training data. That the sixth part did not come because it was a false. So as you can see, it does not have a field 6. It has 7. So over here I got 2. 7 and 8 is again 2. Then again a false. So these two part will go to the testing data and the 10 part will come to the training data. Now if I call the testing data, you can say 6 and 9, which is not included, which were the false result, are under the testing data set. So like guys, some of you will always ask like whether to go for feature scaling first or whether to go for splitting the data set first. So it's in generally doing the data pre-processing, it is very important to go for the feature scaling first. The main reason for this is because after splitting the data, you will standardize the data. What do I mean by standardization of the data? Due to this, okay, Amit is asking, can you please clarify on true and false? See, Amit, what I have given, like, I have just called an identifier which is split is equal to 2. So since I have just splitted the data into two parts, which is the split ratio is 80%. So of the 100% thing, if I'm taking the 80%, so or from the 10 thing, I am taking 100%, 80%. So 8 thing will be are split 80 and 20. 8 field will be one part, two field will be another part. So what I'm doing over here, this is already been splitted in the 80-20 part. Now what is a subset I'm calling? The true part under the split, I'm just calling it on the training set, and for the test set I'm calling the false. As you can see, like while calling the split, out of the 10 fields, 2 fields were having false out of the 10 fields. So 80-20. So 20 would be one split, 80 would be another split. So 20, which is the smallest split, is being classified as false. 80, which is a bigger split, it is classified as true. So I hope this clears your query, Amit. See, if you get true in the training and false in the test, then you can modify your identifier based on that. But in general, in R, it's a default that you will be getting true for the training set and test for the you can say testing set, false for the testing set. But we generally take, it is totally based on this parameter which we are setting. You can also take zero point 0.7, so it will be like 7 true and 3 false. So it is totally based on this parameter. But you have to be very ensure that training set you will be working for like model computation and testing set for model performance. How efficient is my model is. Okay, perfect, guys. So now, like this is one of the important thing in the like splitting the data into the training set and the test set. So like the computation will be working, or whatever the computation that we are working, we will be working on the training and the test set. Now let us try to do the feature scaling, guys. It is one of the most important feature. I'm getting some. Yes, but the main important thing is like true. I'm just calling for the major split. The major split has been identified as true. See what I'm doing over here. Whatever the two part we have in the split is automatically being stored in the training set, and the false part is in the test set. So these two identifiers I'm making. So which what I am doing right now. I hope this clears everyone. So basically it is true for one of the thing, for the major split it is giving you the true, and for the minor split it is giving you the false. So that's why I'm taking major part is the training set and the minor part is the test set. So it can be 80-20, it can be 70-30. Sometimes for some model it is preferred to be 66.67 and 33. So in that way we take the split ratio as 2/3 and 1/3. So based on the model requirement. So there is a huge computation on that. So after performing the splitting the data into training set and the test set, we will be doing the feature scaling, guys. So since there are two columns, which are my categorical columns. So while doing the feature scaling, I'll be first of all be only focusing on those particular columns which are not categorical. They are continuous. So I'll just show you what do I mean by feature scaling. So this is a one note which I am prepared. Like you might have heard, like while performing the machine learning, so the model or while just performing machine learning techniques like linear regression, logistic, or polynomial regression, or support vector machine, or random classifier, any of the technique that you take into account, right? So it has to the data has to pre-process. So in the feature scaling, what do I mean by pre-processing the data? Either it has to be standardized or either it has to be normalized. So what do I mean by standardization of the data? Let's say there is a specific field which is present or a specific element which is present. Let's say this particular element which is present, 44. So it will be replaced with the mean of the all the elements which are present minus the standard deviation of the all the elements of the feature which are present. So this is one of the formula for standardization. Like feature scaling only follows two parts, either standardization or normalization. So standardization is by element minus the mean of all the fields which is present in the column and the standard deviation of all the fields which is present in the column. This is a standardization, and the normalization is utilizing the x norm, which is x minus minimum of x divided by maximum value. So which is a maximum value which is present in that particular data set and the minimum value which is present. So it will be normalizing. If I tell you in real time, in real world, 80% of the time, 80% of the time you will be utilizing standardization of the data. Normalization is dependent on other features. Like let's say I got a data following 20 columns. So let's say 15 columns are already normalized. So it's very obvious that I'll be following the normalization part. But in reality, it is not possible. You'll not find that kind of model while collecting the raw data. So it is highly preferred that we should go for standardization of the data. So this is a formula. So this particular formula I'll be calling utilizing already pre-installed function, which is a scale. So guys, let me call this function. So training. So you can see training set I've already stored in R. Now I'll just show you two comparisons. So this particular function scale will scale out the training set based on standardization, guys. So test set. Okay, so this is already calling. Now guys, this particular result will throw you an error. I'll explain you why. As you can see, there are some error. The main reason for this is actually it is also considering into account the categorical variable which we have encoded. So while performing the feature scaling, I should only consider those variables which are continuous. So while referring to my data, I can see there are only two variables which are continuous, or the two fields One is the age, another is the salary. Purchase and the country are the encoded part, which we did in this particular step. So I'll be only taking the values as age and the salary for doing the computation. So for this, you have to go for an indexing part. So like this is a first index, second index, third index, and fourth index. So I only want second index and the third index in my column, and that should be column wise. So if it's a column wise, so I'll be utilizing two comma. So rows before the comma, columns after the comma, 2:3. So this is a particular argument which is only reflecting these two fields or these two columns, age and the salary. And the same thing I'll be utilizing, or I'll be just calling out here. Let me do the same for this. So as you can see, like all the training set and the test set is only reflecting to these two columns, age and the salary. So let me call both the data set. Now I'll just show you. Okay, I'll just show you the training set. So you can see age values are now replaced with the standardized value, age and salary values only. And if I refer to the test set, it is also changed. Only age and the salary is changed, not country and the purchase. Similarly, not a country and purchase is changed. What is the main reason for this? Because age and the salary is only are the continuous variable. So that's why it is being standardized. So now after doing all these steps, after performing all these steps, my model is really ready for machine learning algorithms. I can apply. So this is a part of data pre-processing, the complete format. So you have to go for importing the data. You have to take care of the missing values. You have to encode the categorical data. You have to split the data into the training set and the test set by utilizing a library called as CA tools. There are other ways also of splitting the data into the training set and the test set, but very frequently used as a CA tools and the feature scaling part. In order to start with the working with some data based on the training set and the test set. So guys, it might look you some like tedious because it follows a long block of code, but it's really very handy. So if you really wanted to work with different data set, so you should always have a consideration of the data pre-processing template. So in the data pre-processing template, what you have to do, you only have to change the values of you can say the variables which are present. Like this is a dependent variable. So as you can see in our today's example, we have replaced the dependent variable by purchase. So if you have the template, you should have a knowledge like how I have to utilize my template on what kind of data set. You only have to like change some specific feature based on the data set, and accordingly you can do the data pre-processing. So this is one of the data pre-processing technique which is based on the R. I hope all of you are clear with this. Okay, now it's really good. It looks good, guys. Now I'll also show you one thing. Like this is a way that you have used in the R. I've already prepared another way in like Excel as well, in Google Colab as well. Now my Google Collaboratory is another like integrated development environment of Python. This is just reconnecting. It's a server based. So this is a really like powerful thing. So this is now based on Python. So this was like This thing was based on the R. Now this is a template which is based on the Python, the data pre-processing template. So as you can see, it follows the same steps. So it's a one of the like Google Collaboratory. It's a very famous integrated development environment which are used. It's a very good replacement for Jupyter Notebook. It's a Jupyter Notebook only, but it's available on the Google Cloud platform. So like you can see over here, you can import the library, importing the data set and splitting the data set into the training set and the test set. In Python, it takes a default value of the test set, but in R, if you see, it is taking the default value as the training set as zero point 0.8. So it is very obvious that we should take the test size to be 0.2. So you should only need to know how to plug in the values in the template and get your result. So this is the only thing. So data science is not a like very tough field. It is only you should be familiarized with different templates and how to work with different templates and what kind of interpretation you can draw with a specific set of results. So this is a data science with all about. So I hope all of you are clear with the each and everything on the data pre-processing part. Guys, if you have any question, please ask. See, Amit, if you are very new to data science, this is one thing which I have just showed you, like what is data science is all about. Like if you enroll on my course, so I'll be starting with data structure first, how to import the like specific data out of a particular data set. After importing the data, like what are different data types, like what is a vector, what is a factor, what is a, you can say atomic vector, what is what are labels and what are data frames, what is a matrix data type. So we will be working for each and everything. So this is one of the topic that I have covered in the today's session as a part of a demo. I hope Amit, this clears your query. Thank you, Neha, for appreciating. The companies which are utilizing the the companies which are utilizing. See, if you want to start a practice, you can start with anything. R and Python are both the tools, so you can take any of the tool based on your comfortability. It's not like R one should be if you do not come with a data science background, so I'll be only going with Python. You can start with any of the tool, no matter what, if it is R or Python, because both have a huge application and demand in the industry. The industries which are utilizing the data science in today's time, you please name any industry. I can tell you Google it is utilizing, Amazon is utilizing as a Amazon web services. You can say startups are utilizing, companies like the dedicated companies like Mu Sigma, Fractal Analytics are utilizing, and Blue Dot AI is utilizing. Healthcare companies like United Health Group, it is also utilizing the implication. Now, if you come from research background, all the IITs, IIMs are working on R and Python. So like data science is the new oil in today's time. Each and every companies are actually moving towards data science in order to better their analytics. And it is in huge demand in today's time. So I hope this clears your query, Amit. See, these are tools only. These are softwares only, guys. Amit, R and Python. If you want to learn any additional tools, like you can also learn Tableau. It's a dedicated tool for data visualization. But if you know R and Python, it also performs the function what Tableau is doing. Specific software you can learn R. R is a software. It's a tool. It's also a software, and you can also learn along with it Tableau in order to like augment your profile in the data science as a data scientist. I hope this clears your query. And I'll also tell you there are so many other languages like Scala is there. But if you go to blogs, if you read various blogs, and if you go to various tools, uh, the top five tools, among the top five tools, the top two tools are R and Python. So for a data scientist, there will be, if you see an intersection of all the job requirement, you will find either R or Python as one of the skill set a data scientist must have. I hope this clears your query, Amit. Okay, perfect. So guys, thank you for your patience, and thank you for participating in today's demo. I hope all of you like the session. Neha and Amit, thank you, Amit. Thank you, Neha. So, guys, I'll be since you have been contacted with my one of the company named as AI.secure. So, AI.secure will be calling you on my behalf. And if you got any doubt, AI.secure will be talking to you based on any of the queries. So, guys, if you really want to ask anything, please ask. So guys, thank you for your time. I just call it a day. I'll just connect with my team to get a follow up if you really like the session.